what you can do is you can go over to the Hangout toolbox. If you click on the left, it should bring up that thing with your head. I don't know if all this is coming back. It doesn't have to. You don't have to. It's totally
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Don't even think about it.
Time is precious today.
Let's just start the show. Yes, time is precious. We have a very important man with us today.
Thank you. Oh, you're not talking to me.
No, I'm not talking about you guys. Trust me. All right. We're going to do the show. The date is the 12th.
Thursday, June 12th.
All right. I laugh because I feel like I've been traveling since May. All right, here we go. Ready? All right.
And World Cup Day, too.
I know. Enough of that. All right. So that's just stupid soccer.
I know. I hate it.
All right, here we go. Ready? Starting the show now. Hello, Hockey World. It is Thursday, June 12th, 2014.
I'm Michael Agello.
I'm Matthew Barry in Los Angeles.
I'm Josh River.
And I'm Eklund, and I should have told you guys what we were doing, but that's okay, because we are here, we are still alive, and the playoffs are still going on, and we've got Matthew Barry, one of my favorite people in the entire hockey world. Was my absolute favorite when he still wrote for us, but one of my favorites of all time. And Matthew, OMG, what happened last night?
Listen, what a great game. I mean, it was a fantastic game. I mean, phenomenal. I mean, you got to hand it to I was going to say Pelle Lindbergh. No. Lundqvist for saying that they're not going to, have the cup paraded around Madison Square Garden. And he played his best game, and great. If that's his best game, then the Kings should win in 5 or 6. So surprisingly, I love coming on this program because the last 2 times that I've come on this program, the Kings have won. So I consider this place a good luck charm, and I have a feeling that Eklund, you and I will be eating a delicious steak dinner at about 10 p.m., 10:30 on tomorrow night.
We have to explain that. There's Pelle Lindbergh, by the way, who thanks you very much for his contributions. No one's ever mentioned him, and I have a giant portrait of him over there, so that was pretty cool.
Nice.
I have Hardy Astrom on the wall somewhere over here.
Okay. So yeah, Matt, we have to explain this bet here because we have a bet. And you are funny. You're a very funny man because you are one of these guys. Sorry, I'm fixing this. We're on the fly here, guys. You're a funny man because you just you came the first time you came on the show. You came on and you said there is no way they're going to get swept by San Jose. You wrote they were going to get swept by San Jose before the series began.
I did.
All right, then they don't get swept. Then I'm watching Chicago, and I'm watching the game, and I forget which game it was. It was the game when the Kings lost at home, right? Your game 6. And where Patrick Kane just took over at the end of the game and just totally ruined the party for everybody, right? And you texted me during that game, there is no chance in the world the Kings are done. They're toast. They're out. It's over.
Yep.
And here we are. And as you texted me that, I knew because I just felt, I don't know why, I just felt like for some reason that was the best. Because the Kings had only taken 2 shots in that period, remember? And it wasn't like, the Hawks had only taken 2 shots or 3 shots and scored 2 goals, right, to come back in game 6. And that was facing elimination. They could only muster 3 shots. They scored twice and they came back. But so I was so definite that I made a bet with you that they were winning game 7. And you at first you were giving me great odds, and I'm like, no, I just want a steak dinner when you come to New York or in the Stanley Cup Final or in LA, and sure enough, I'm going to collect maybe.
I actually have a funny story for the two of you because, of course, when the Kings were about to be eliminated by San Jose, I made vacation plans with my family, and and literally, of course, we planned God Laughs, and I was literally in the Caribbean. My flight landed in the Caribbean just in time for the start of Game 7, so I rushed to the hotel, and of course, the person that was helping me out, I was like, you have to find the game, you have to, because I made sure that they had NBC. So of course, I'm looking at they put on the NBC channel, and it's some Howard Stern show, and I'm freaking out. I'm going, oh no, it's the other NBC, it's the MSNBC or CNBC. So they go to that channel, and there's something else on, and I'm losing my mind. So I'm flipping through every single channel that they have, and of course, little did I know that they had the Hockey Night in Canada feed. Oh. So I watched the Hockey Night in Canada feed, and I'm sitting there, and it goes to overtime, of course, and I'm just like nail biting, and my family's in heaven because we're on one of the greatest islands in the Caribbean, beautiful ocean view, and they score the winning goal, and I lose my mind. I mean, I completely lose my mind to the point where the phone rings and it's the manager calling up and going, "Is everything okay?"
Fantastic. That is so
Yes,
cool.
everything's fine. Everything's wonderful. And my wife said, "My God, it sounds like somebody's killing a goat."
Like we say around here, it's like someone throwing cats at other cats, right? That's like,
Right.
oh my gosh, that's a great story.
It
So
was,
you're
it's
now you're on
actually
this island. You want to celebrate your king, and because you step out in the streets of LA right now, and people would be going crazy, and you step outside, and it's just a beautiful summer night.
right, and it was funny, of course. And then because I was there, I missed the first two home games because I was there. There's a great bar there. I
Right.
was the only Kings fan in the bar, surrounded by Rangers fans. So of course they take a 0-0 lead in the first game, and they're all talking smack to me, and I'm just sitting there, okay. And by the end of the evening, I'm going, "Go home, Rangers." And they weren't too pleased with me there.
Matt, conversely, after Game 7 in 1993, I was watching the game at my parents' home because I was relatively young. I was throwing out a bowling ball that I had used in my teenage years. It was just an old, cheap bowling ball. Well, that bowling ball never got to the garbage can because it ended up being split in two because I threw it against the basement floor and cracked it in two.
Wow. That's good stuff. Jeez, I just cried like a baby when the Islanders scored in 1980. But yeah, on Pete Peters.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Josh. Oh, I thought you raised your hand. I'm sorry.
No.
You gave me the fake. You got to pull the ear twice, and Anyway, so so my gosh, that's amazing. And then so I was talking to you, and I was thinking you might get to New York, but you didn't get to New York. And I don't necessarily blame you. There weren't. I'm telling you what, Matt. Not many Kings fans made it out here.
No.
At all.
Well,
surprising number.
It was also, I mean, I knew that the prices would come way down because Ranger fans didn't want to see Kings fans celebrating on their home ice, or they didn't want to be humiliated and get swept. So I was watching the prices. It was like for the cheap seats, it was $1,500, and then literally
drop. Yeah.
Centerized seats were about $500 each, and I thought about it real hard, and catching the 12 a.m. flight, to Charlotte, and then Charlotte to Newark, which would have gotten me in about 11 o'clock, and then go to the game, and it's just I just spent a fortune on my vacation, so I figured an extra $1,500, $1,600, and it paid off because I would have been miserable on the plane ride home today.
Oh yeah, that was tough. I saw a few Kings fans hanging out. Surprising number of Rangers fans in LA. I mean, the way more Rangers fans in LA. I'm guessing that those people probably didn't travel there. There are just Rangers fans in LA, right?
Oh God.
Well, it's easier to starve in LA because you couldn't make it in New York, so you had to come out. And by the way, I want to say, I don't know if Mike and Josh, if you notice this, in the post game show on the NHL Network, how class Rangers fans to when Dan Bilesma started to talk and they were going, "Pittsburgh sucks." Pittsburgh sucks. I mean, classy Rangers fan.
No, I mean they're still doing the pot fan whistle. You know what that is? You remember that? There's one guy who whistles this whole dun 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 dun.
Chant "Pot Van sucks."
And at the end they go dun dun dun, and then the whole crowd goes "Pot Van sucks." That was midway through the third period last night.
Yeah.
That's motivation. That's dedication to a joke. I mean they've been going on that for how many years now?
30 years.
So fast forward to last night. I'm sitting next to Russ Cohen, lifelong Rangers fan, for the first time covering his own team in the Stanley Cup Finals in the press box. Russ and I are, Russ I've known. He also covers the Flyers, and he's in the Philly press box too. I know Russ has been on this show too, and I really got into it last night because I was going up and down with the emotional highs and lows of this poor guy. It was hard. It was hard to imagine. Josh, let's go to you real. I want to bring you in too on this because I wanted, and then Mike, and then I want to eventually hear what you have to say, Matt, about this one because, to me, of all the games I've ever attended, and it's funny because Captain EO was with me before the game, and he said, "What are your favorite Stanley Cup memories?" And I was trying to remember the best games I attended, and this is up in the top 5. Josh, this was a hell of a game.
Yeah, it was. And you know what? I thought that the Kings would finish him out last night. Obviously, that didn't happen. But the Rangers had no business winning that game last night. It was all L.A. The only reason the Rangers won, obviously, was Lundqvist. And also, you got to also give credit to the snow as well, saving the goal there in
the magic
third period.
snow.
Yeah, I couldn't figure that one out. But yeah, I mean, it was Lundqvist that won that game for the Rangers because you know what? It reminded me, actually, that game reminded me a lot of going to games here in Toronto, seeing the Leafs with a lead, and then sitting back and waiting for the other team to score because that's what it looked like it was going to happen last night. And I'm like, oh my God, I saw this all year this year. Why do I got to watch this again? You know?
You can't defend a lead. I mean, if Pittsburgh taught us nothing against the Blue Jackets, you can't defend a league for 2 periods. It just doesn't work. Yeah. You know, and we were all waiting for it.
The shots were lopsided. The face-offs were lopsided. The Kings won every category last night.
Oh, the face-offs were ridiculous. Kopitar was just lights out on face-offs last night. I mean, he was like 10-1 by the end of the game.
Every face-off in the offensive zone, the Kings won.
Every one of them, and they
went right back to the defenseman. Every face-off. I said to my 6-year-old last night, I'm like, watch the puck come right back to the defenseman on this face-off.
Matt, I got to ask you this. Was this their best game of this series? I thought the Kings played their best game and lost.
I don't think I honestly don't think it was their best game because it wasn't their best first period. The game before this, they played by far their best first period in Game 3. They were a little lackadaisical in the first period. They were kind of finding their feet. We were all saying, okay, if we can survive the first 10 minutes, and they didn't because I think they scored in the 9th minute or so. Yeah, and it was in the game before they held the Rangers all game, and that was by far their best game. This was I think the Rangers' best game, just because from a defensive standpoint. I mean, it's I'm looking at the numbers now on my other computer. It was like 63% in the faceoff. That's all I kept saying all game. I mean, I noticed that right away. I was like, we won another faceoff. We won another faceoff.
It was 82, and the Madison Square Garden scoreboard now actually tracks faceoffs on it. It's the coolest scoreboard ever. They've got all kinds of stats on it, and we were watching the percentages go. It was after the first period, it was 82% for LA.
Wow.
I mean, that was just insane. And and then you look at Stoll was 7-0, Kopitar was 8-1. This is in the first period alone. I mean, it was ridiculous, and they kept going. And I mean, what the Kings do so well, Mike, is they remind me a little bit of the Devils when I hated the Devils when they were winning cups because the Kings have the Kings outlets of their own zone are as good as anybody I've ever seen. Like they just get out of their own end. They always have one guy on the boards with 3 outlets, 3 possibles.
Yeah, they're very inventive with their escape routes out of the defensive zone. Guys like Doughty and Voynov, they're able to either do it the traditional way and either skate it out or make a nice pass up the middle, or they even back it around. And there's always a forward there at the top of the either top of the face-off circle or near the blue line to get out of the zone. Let me just say, I mean, LA outshot them 15-1 in the third period. I mean, Josh sort of stole my analogy. I mean, I think throughout North America, there was a mass suicide on the level of the Jonestown, Guyana, with all the Corsi and Fenwick guys, and when you saw the face-offs, that puck possession and the shots on goal. I mean, LA should have won this game 7-2. The Lundqvist played phenomenal. He definitely piled up the snow in the crease, which I mean that was I still can't believe that puck in the first period didn't get pushed in. It was a great play by Strawman to lift Jeff Carter's stick and then shovel it out of the way. I mean, I think if the Kings would have rebounded and scored and tied up the game in the first period, that it would have been much different. And the one thing they really, I mean, they dominated throughout, but especially after Brown's goal, the 2 to 3 minutes after Brown's goal, I thought that they were like, you know, the Rangers were skating around completely clueless, and the Kings were just, I mean, I was shocked that they didn't tie it up. And I'll tell you, that Pearson kid,
Yeah,
I don't know if he's going to be a star.
Pearson, I mean, that line is crazy, Matt. They're really good.
Nuts. He's going to be a really effective player for a number of years. Size, speed, and that one play he made, going basically through the entire Rangers defense and almost beating Lundqvist was extremely impressive.
The most interesting thing I noticed about the Kings last night, where there were two things. One is that, like you said, after that Brown goal, and this is something that you just kind of realize about the Kings in general. They might be the hardest team in the NHL to get momentum back from. If you lose momentum to the Kings,
yeah,
you're not getting it back. I mean, you have to. I mean, the Rangers never really got it back. They sort of equalized them at times, but you know, the Rangers had some momentum going, and when the Kings get that goal, I mean, they take the momentum and they go flying, and they seem like it honestly is another thing. Though I was joking with Russ, who was next to me, and I'm like, you know, the 1-0 lead might not be the worst thing in the world because the Kings turn it on at 2. And we've seen this before, right? I mean, Matt, they just turned it on at 2. But the last thing I want to ask, and then you can, Matt, I like your response to all this. Sorry, throwing a lot of stuff at you at once. But and Josh, you as well. But Matt, first, this is the thing I noticed too. The Kings did not forecheck for the entire first half of that game, and it was a very strange thing to watch. And I don't know if this is their way of playing a road game, you know, sort of keeping extra men high, or what. But they decided they were going to beat the Rangers with their speed around the defense, and like the Browns was the first, and then there were like 3 or 4 others, Carter. You know, another Gabrick Tance, where they were trying to just beat the Rangers 101, which was kind of a different strategy, I thought, for them.
Well, here's the interesting thing. It's like if you look at Game 3, if you look at the hits, the Kings were averaging 45 hits a game, and I think in the third game they had 18, which was like what? Yeah. And if you look at Game 3, the Rangers had a few breakaways. And the Rangers, you know, really didn't have any breakaways. So I think they shied away from the forecheck and just played a very solid defensive game because the Kings were the ones who had all the breakaways. And Josh, just for you, my wonderful assistant Scott over here informs me that Harrison Ford only has an ankle injury, so he's going to be okay.
Oh,
and I wanted, and the whole thing about Pearson, the one thing that I wrote about the other day is it's like I'm so grateful to Columbus for making all the deals that they did, but the one deal that they didn't, the one thing that they didn't make was they had the option of taking the Kings' first-round draft pick in 2012 or 2013 in the Jack Johnson trade. They didn't take it, and the Kings drafted Tanner Pearson. Yeah. So we thank Columbus for that as well.
Between him and Tavola.
No, I think it's. I always believe in coaches. Coaches win. You know, those little things win the games, which is why the strategy between the coach of Chicago, whose name is escaping me, help me out.
Quenneville, yeah.
Quenneville versus Sutter was just incredible, and Sutter has played against Vigneault before when Vigneault was with Vancouver and outcoached the hell out of him when we were the underdogs that when we won the cup. And I think that, you know, coming home, Vigneault tried to, you know, mix up the lines a little bit, try and confuse Sutter, and Sutter was having none of it.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Dustin Brown.
Sorry. What did you say, Josh?
Oof.
I was just going to say Dustin Brown had a huge game last night. He, even though the Kings didn't win, he was my number one guy last night that I think played amazing last night. And by the way, Matt, speaking of Harrison Ford, before he was an actor, he was a carpenter. Yeah. He worked for my grandfather.
That's pretty awesome.
For my grandfather as a carpenter.
I'll give you one. I'll give you one. In a studio I worked at, the entrance to my office was built by Harrison Ford.
Really?
Wow. Excellent.
There's a great. It's still there today. It's this beautiful archway that he had built.
My grandfather probably sent him over there to do that.
Probably.
I own Raiders of the Lost Ark on DVD.
All right. Excellent.
Gotta get it on Blu-ray.
Yeah. This The pucks last night, the magic pucks, not going over the goal line. The other moment that was just incredible to me, as a goalie growing up, they teach you one thing that is never done by. I learned a couple things. One, you always yell screen. No one does that anymore because everybody screens the goalie all the time. The other, you stack your pads. No one does that anymore because of the butterfly. But the other thing that I learned was when you don't know where the puck is, you don't move. And if Lundqvist and this, I've seen so many goalies in this past year. Mason and Philly did it a bunch of times, where the puck's behind him, he doesn't know where it is, starts moving and kicks the puck in.
Yeah.
Did you see how close Lundqvist's pad came to that puck? I mean, he did not move, and it's unbelievable to me that he didn't move. Because think of the pressure that came at that point in time. I mean, he's relying so much on his own game, not knowing where the puck is, and that he doesn't move. And if he moves the slightest bit, he kicks it in.
And oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Matt. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I'm just praying that this isn't the Marty McSorley stick incident part 2 that propels the Rangers to win, three straight, because we're going to be looking at this and we had Stickgate and now we're going to have Puckgate.
Oh yeah, I know. This is I agree.
What I was a little surprised at, and there was inconclusive evidence, so they really probably couldn't do it, was on the second puck incident coming close to the goal line. It looked like Klein put his hand over the puck. I mean, he pushed it away from the line and pushed it towards Lundqvist, but when it was further into the blue, it looked like he put his hand over the puck, and that's a penalty shot. So I mean, a penalty shot down 2-1 with the Kings dominating that period would have. I mean, let's just say the New York fans would have gone ape if that would have happened. So.
Well, they would have gone ape if it happened the other way around and they didn't get the penalty shot. Look, the referee was standing right on the goal, in the back of the net, so he saw it clearly. He could have called it. He didn't call it. You know what? Unlike Ranger fans, we're not bitching about it.
I'm gonna let you guys talk for a second. I got to run real quick out. I'll be right back.
Good, Josh. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna say I think Strawman made the best move of his career last night that I could remember. Him making that save. But yeah, it kind of looked like maybe he did. Did he close his hand on the puck? Because I question whether or not he did.
You really couldn't see it. Was it? I thought it was Klein. I wasn't sure which defenseman. But if it was Strawman, yeah. I mean, he pushed it away from the goal line towards Lundqvist's pad, but then he pushed it again, and the camera loses sight of the puck. And at that point, I'm thinking, okay, because it ended up under Lundqvist's pad, and at that point, I think maybe the better course was just to say, okay, blow the whistle. But it looked like he put his hand over the puck. Now, granted, he had enough forethought to push it away from the goal line and not cover it with his hand. So maybe he didn't, but it was. I mean, at a critical point of the game, that's a very, very close play. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, Matt, let me ask you now. Okay, now I mean, it's all in the Kings' favor right now. They're up 3-1. They're coming home. They were up 3-0 2 years ago. They lost Game 4. They lost Game 5, and then I think they came back to LA and won it in LA in Game 6 against the Devils. I think the Rangers are a better team than the Devils. I think the Rangers have a better goaltender than the Devils. I mean, what are your fears right now as a Kings backer?
Well, the one thing is that in the Devils series, we had a chance to close them out, and it was still 2-1. I mean, it was 1-1 with 3 minutes left when it was Adam Henrique scored the goal that broke our hearts. The other thing is that was Game 4, so Game 5 was back in New Jersey. Game 5 is actually back here in LA this year, and I think the Kings learned from that Game 4, and my biggest fear is that there's so much emphasis on and pressure on the Kings to close it out because they're expected to close it out. And that's a lot of pressure. And as you well know, anything can happen. A 5-minute major, a 5-on-3. if the Rangers go up 3-1, or 3-0, they could shut it down.
Yeah.
And anything can happen. What I anticipate from the Kings when they've had to close it out. I mean, they shellacked San Jose in Game 7. They shellacked the Ducks in Game 7, and played Chicago tough. I mean, how would you like to be a Chicago player looking at the Kings, what they're doing against the Rangers and going, this could have been us. So I think my biggest fear is that it's a little too much overconfidence. Because there's no pressure on the Rangers, none.
Yeah, and one of the things I was impressed with the Kings, because watching Game 7 against Chicago gets up early 2-0 in the first period. I'm thinking it's over with. It's over with. I mean, Chicago's got the crowd behind them. They're up 2 goals. They're flying, and then within a span of a couple minutes, it's 2-2. Now they took the lead and were leading 3-2 after the first period. But I'm like, LA wasn't even phased. They just came back and methodically just put 2 goals in and got back in the game. And it just seems to me like, and this is a weird, I mean, I have all the respect for this team coming back from 3-0 against San Jose and doing what they've done so far, but it almost seems like that Daryl Sutter's got to taser them in the gonads to get them going sometimes. I mean, they have to be down 2-0 to get moving. I mean, once they're moving, they're unstoppable. It takes a lot to get them moving.
Well, it's a team that plays a system, and it's a bend don't break. I mean, if you look at the top line, which is the '70s line, it's like 2 of them are kids, so it's like they don't know any better. It's like you got to save your energy. Switching it up, I'm going to ask you guys something. Who's Conn Smythe winner?
Josh.
I changed my vote. I originally said yesterday Jonathan Quick. I think if Quick would have, played, okay, it was in the first period. I text Eklund and Mike. I said, I guess we know who's gonna. I said John Quick for Conn Smythe ? Because I said it on the show yesterday, and sure enough, a second later the Rangers scored. So it's my fault. The Rangers scored the first goal. I put that out there in the universe. So apologize about that. But I got to go Drew Doughty now.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, Matt, I thought there was no way that Quick would win the Conn Smythe unless he had like a 58 shot shutout, because he won it 2 years ago. And I don't think, it's like the Oscars. They don't want to give Tom Hanks the 3rd Oscar because then it puts him in the pantheon of Daniel Day-Lewis and guys like De Niro who've won, or Nicholson who've won 3. They just don't want to do that. I don't think they want to give Jonathan Quick a second Conn Smythe unless he's just like standing on his head.
Even if he stands on his head, I don't think he deserves it. Not after the debacle that was the San Jose series. I mean, He was lit up like a Christmas tree.
Exactly.
I think that he hasn't. I mean, as far as Kings fans are concerned, he has not had the greatest postseason, and the Kings have bailed him out with potting 3 and 4 goals.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like if you look at the first 2 series, Gabrick was out of his mind. Kopitar was insane. Williams is Mr. Game 7, and Carter. I think the only one that's kind of pooped out right now is Kopitar, and you look at it and it's like, okay, he had a long season, he had a very emotional Olympics. He came back, and then he has to deal with coming back, against Joe Thornton, then Getzlaff, and then Taves, and I think he's running on fumes right now. But I'd still rather take a Kopitar than anybody else, and he's kind of slacked off a bit. I mean, I look for Williams has just been consistent in all the series. Gabrick only has 1 goal in the series, but I think whoever has the most goals at the end of tomorrow night it could be your winner.
Yeah, I mean, to answer your question, I originally thought Doughty because that seemed to be the conventional wisdom of what a lot of people are saying right now, especially the fact that Doughty hasn't won an individual award. He hasn't won a Norris yet. I mean, he's won 2 Olympic gold medals. He's won a Stanley Cup. But he hasn't really won it. He hasn't won an individual award, and he's played. I mean, I thought he was the reason why they won Game 7 in San Jose, and he's been fantastic throughout. To me, it's either him. The other sentimental guy is Williams. This Mr. Game 7 thing. I mean, and he scores the overtime game winner in Game 1. So I could see cases made for both. I don't know about Gaborik. I mean, he scored a ton of goals. I think he has 13 right now, and I think he leads the playoffs with 13 goals. Kopitar is leading in points. So I mean, the thing is, I mean, you have a lot of people who have played pretty well to get this team to where they are, but I somehow think Doughty's going to get it. But we'll see. I mean, we'll hopefully for your sake, we'll find out after tomorrow night. Mike Francesa, the famous New York sports radio host, was saying if the Kings are getting on the plane back to New York, this series has changed.
Yeah.
And I mean, and the thing is, last year, and this is pretty funny. Last year, we all, Josh and I, of course, will remember the fact that the Bruins were down 4-1 with 11 minutes left to go in the third period against the Leafs in Game 7 of the first round. Came back, tied up the game, and won it in overtime. And then, if God did them a favor there, God took it away when they gave up 2 goals in the final minute in Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final, with Dave Bolin scoring the game winner. It was a really quick flurry. Wouldn't it be ironic, and I'm not rooting for this, but if the Kings had come back from 3-0 down to beat San Jose, and then in the Stanley Cup Finals, the Rangers come back from 3-0 down to beat the Kings?
I mean, look, anything is possible. The Kings have played the most playoff games, of anybody in the last couple of years. I think somebody said 62. I think I heard this morning. I mean, over the last 3 years, I mean, it's something ridiculous. I mean, they've played a ton of. They've played 3 games, Game 7s, and my wife even said this one's going to 7. I was like, shut up. But it very well could go.
Uh-oh.
They've been battered up and beat up, and 25 games. I mean, that's a lot of games on top of. I think that the key is going to be keeping the defensemen out of the penalty box. The Kings have taken 18 penalties in this series, and 11 of them are from the defense.
Yeah.
And that's going to take its toll eventually. And hopefully they can stay out of the box, because it's like it really does take its toll.
No,
where did that go? Is he getting his TV ready for World Cup or something?
No, it's just a family thing. He'll be back in a few minutes. Josh, I want to ask you about a rumor or two.
Number two.
Yeah.
But Matt, it was strange that Darren Drager from TSN mentioned something that we discussed on our webcast a few weeks ago, the speculation that Mike Richards could be bought out. Apparently, he's been told, and a number of people have been told, that it's not going to happen. I mean, I didn't think it was really probable. I mean, but I thought with the fact that he's making close to $6 million for another 6 years, that there was a possibility. I guess they're going to ask him to try to get in a better shape, maybe lose a little weight to speed up a little bit, because speed has been the question. I mean, what are your thoughts about Mike Richards?
I have about as good a chance of having sex with triplets as Mike Richards does of getting bought out. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. I mean, think about it. You have a premier center. Toronto would pay dearly to have a guy like Mike Richards. I think that even Ron Hextall would love to bring him back. Anybody who needs a number 2 center, or even a debatable number 1 center, would love to have Mike Richards on their team. Florida would love to have Mike Richards on their team. He's not going to get bought out. Lombardi loves him. He had a crappy year. Yeah. Hockey players do, but they bounce back, and it's arguably Brown had a crappy year too, and he's about to make $7 million. You're gonna trade him? No, all this talk of buyout is just nonsense. They're not gonna buy out Richards. That's not Lombardi. Anybody who's ever known Lombardi, anybody who's ever interviewed Lombardi knows that he loves Mike Richards, and he's a warrior, and he's proven that in these playoffs. Is he worth $6 million? No. Maybe he needs a change of scenery from Daryl Sutter's system? Possibly. And again, if the Kings are going to re-sign Gaborik, they're going to need some cash, especially with Dustin Brown pulling in $7 million, in salary next year. I think it's 5.75 cap hit, but still, it's a lot of salary. So I don't think that's gonna. I don't think that there's no Mike Richards buyout whatsoever. And
Matt, let me just say this.
It's so stupid.
Yeah, I think it's stupid too.
I don't know about triplets, but I think I can arrange the Olsen twins.
I
Been there, done that.
Okay. Oh, whoa. All right. I came back at the right time. Sorry, guys. I had to run out. My person who usually watches our kids' father passed away today, so I had to go meet the kids at the bus stop. So thanks for carrying the boat, guys.
All right, guys.
I'll let you go, Matt. I know you got to get going. Thank you so much. I will see you tomorrow.
You will. So, all right, buddy.
I can't wait. I'll call you when I get
Thanks,
in.
Matt.
All right, bye, guys.
See you then. Thanks, man. There you go, Matt Barry joining us. Thank you guys so much for covering while I was away there. Too close to the mic, am I?
You're okay now.
Okay, thanks. Do I look disheveled? Hung out with some of your friends last night, Josh, from XM. I had dinner with Peter Bursch.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Peter's
nice. Yeah, they're good. Peter's good people.
Yeah, Peter is good. He's really and Scott Laughlin last night, two of them. I was with them, so that was fun. And they say they both watched the show and they both like it a lot, so that was kind of cool.
Good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
We should touch on a couple things before we go. The Jason Spezza situation in Ottawa, the rumors of him requesting a trade and where he possibly could go. I mean, I think that's going to be, along with Thornton, along with Brad Richards, if he gets bought out, Spezza's name is going to be pretty prominent in rumors going up to the draft and maybe up to July 1st.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the big word in LA, at least among the GM's meetings, seemed to have him linked to Anaheim a lot. I'm not, I don't think that. I think that's possible. I also have heard rumors of him being close with Mike Fisher and hanging out in Nashville, which I could see as a very good. I mean, I've heard Nashville's interested before, and I think that's the perfect fit for him, to be honest.
Yeah, because it's a short-term thing. He only has 1 year left in his contract, making around $7 million. So it wouldn't be a long-term commitment by the Preds, and if he does well there, then they could probably sign him to a long-term extension.
Exactly. And the one other thing I'll say about that, a couple other things I had as well on that. But Josh, you have something on this one, on Spezza?
No, I don't. Not on Spezza.
Okay. All right. Yeah. The other thing I had too is Florida. On this first pick overall, I know I'm hearing that there are. Even though there have been offers, the ownership of the Panthers does not want to make that deal. They don't want to move the first pick. Talon might want to move it. It might be a little bit of a difference of opinions there, but at the end of the day, I think the ownership. I think the Flyers are going to end up keeping that pick. I really do. I think that's what's going to happen. Josh, go ahead.
Josh. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I heard that team that might have made that offer is Carolina, and one of the Stalls could be involved. I heard that late last night. I don't know if there's anything to it, guys, but yeah, I mean, obviously Carolina is trying to do some shuffling around, and they have a young team. Maybe they want that first pick really bad. Can't confirm it, but that's what I was told, that maybe Carolina's involved.
I would go along with that. I mean, from what people I was talking to, I think Carolina's involved. I think they're one of the teams involved. I think Toronto made a call on that too. I think Ottawa made a call on it too.
Yeah, Edmonton as well. Edmonton wants
obviously Ekblad. Yep, Ekblad would make a good fit for Edmonton. They need that defender in the worst possible way.
Yeah.
So maybe Nugent Hopkins to Florida then.
No, from what I heard, it was basically them trading the number 3 and a player to move up 2 spots to draft number 1.
Maybe.
Which I don't think the difference between 3 and 1 is Ryan Nugent Hopkins. Maybe the difference between 3 and 1 is Sam Gagner.
Well, Nugent Hopkins plus something else could get you the one when you could still keep your other pick if you wanted to too. I mean, that's the other way to go there. You don't necessarily have to swap picks altogether.
How about the news of the day, guys, or all the news? Did you catch the news today?
What is the news of today, Josh?
Jason Carmonos named VP
yes.
of hockey operations with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Fired twice in Carolina, but many people have been fired twice in Carolina. Carmonos is now in Pittsburgh as VP of hockey operations. Also, how about this? Winnipeg Jets forward Evander Kane says he did throw 3 punches, but only in defense, as he was attacked in Vancouver by a man who's now suing him for assault. So that's interesting there. Evander Kane, the bad stuff keeps following Evander Kane.
You remember that money that he was holding on that?
He's bad at shinny, as we've talked about before.
So I'm sure Winnipeg wants to get rid of him even more now.
That money that he was holding on that balcony in Vegas, that's going to the guy that he just is suing his butt.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the team to watch for Evander Kane, if he does really become available, are the Blackhawks. They will go hard after him.
I think the Flyers will want him.
Flyers will want him too, but I think the Blackhawks have more to get. I think the Flyers can make that. I think Blackhawks can make that happen. I think the Flyers are going to make. I also think that they could make a pitch for that first overall pick.
Yeah.
But the Ekblad is what they need. I mean, many are saying, comparing him to Seth Jones, maybe saying he's a little bit better than Seth Jones. Some say.
Yeah.
It varies who you ask. I think if he's better than Seth Jones, that's something, because Seth Jones was pretty impressive in his first year in the NHL, in my opinion. But I think I really did hear very firmly that Florida wants that the ownership wants to keep that pick. And also I heard that Bilesma's first interview went very, very well in Florida. And basically was told that in no uncertain terms, it's kind of up to Bilesma at this point. If he wants to go there,
I actually heard that Gerard Gallant has had 2 interviews with the Panthers.
He has.
So don't count Gallant out yet.
No, I'm not going to count him out at all. I agree. No, he has had 2 interviews, but
and I'm told it'll be one of those 2, Gallant or Bilesma, one of those 2 guys. And one other piece of news which you guys will like. Cam Neely has confirmed that he has filmed a scene for the sequel to Dumb and Dumber. Kick his ass, Seabass.
Excellent. Good stuff. Yeah. Wow, Matt. Yeah, Matt. We could have had Matt on for that one.
Yep.
Matt's movie, by the way, I didn't get to talk about. Was out. It's called The Other Woman. That's the movie that Matt did all the casting for, and his most recent casting. And I haven't seen it yet, but the previews look absolutely awesome for it. And people I've talked to say that it's a really fun movie.
I saw the preview and I freeze framed on Kate Upton.
The preview is, I mean, you can't go wrong with the women he cast in that movie. Come on, those 3 women are just like all 3 of them in my mind.
Yeah, I don't. Well, yeah, Cameron Diaz, Leslie Mann, and Kate Upton. Not exactly tough on the eyes.
I've always liked Leslie Mann. Like, I think something about her that I really like. She's not
funny.
like. Yeah, she just seems like a cool person, to hang out with. She's not necessarily, there's Cameron Diaz and Kate Upton are obviously these star-studded beauties, but Leslie's got her own thing going on. It's pretty cool. I like that a lot.
Guys,
very sassy.
Yeah, very.
Guys,
sassy.
I'm looking forward to the movie that's going to come out in a couple months called The Interview with Seth Rogen and James Franco. Apparently, it's a movie about them killing. I'm gonna butcher his name. The head of North Korea.
Yeah.
Kim Jong-un or whatever. Yeah. So the movie is all about killing him.
Wow.
I'm sure that'll be opening big in Pyongyang.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to go over well with the rest of the world. Yeah.
This guy's got nuclear weapons. Thank you.
Yeah, Dennis Rodman won't like it.
Yeah. The movie I'm looking forward to now that we're getting into movies, but I guess we did just do a little brief movie thing here because we all 3 of us are big movie people. Mm-hmm. But I am really looking forward to Wish I Was Here, which I tweeted out about today, which is Zach Braff's movie that comes out middle of July. I am an enormous Garden State fan.
Yes.
For the record, I'm in that movie. You can find me. If you can find me, you get a point, but I'm definitely in there. The Garden State and Zach Braff, these guys, and I got that's funny. So they're definitely worth. This is Zach did this as a Kickstarter because he wanted to do his own movie. There's a sequel to Garden State, sort of. It's not really the same characters, but it's like basically as he describes it, like it's this next part of his life. As the Garden State was him as a 20-year-old. This is him as a 30-year-old. And this is it just looks. It's got what's her name from Kate Hudson is playing opposite him. You can't go wrong with Kate Hudson. You know, it's an incredible cast, and it's and the preview for that is also awesome. And it comes out in the middle of July, so wish I was here.
What about Sin City 2?
Yeah, Sin City 2 is coming out.
Yeah, no. I have to give 2 definite thumbs up on the X-Men movie. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, you liked it?
Yeah,
best X-Men movie ever.
Wow, awesome. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well,
and
tomorrow,
also Splendid's pretty funny too with Adam Sandler. And again,
I heard that was pretty funny, yeah.
I mean, there aren't many Adam Sandler movies that are as good as Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison, and Big Daddy. This one comes pretty close.
One last rumor thing. There are various reports that say that Dan Boyle is going to balk at the idea of signing with the Islanders, and a couple sources have said that he's looking to play for a team that is closer to being a contender. He's looking for a 2-year contract, and
he's about 25 teams. So yeah, we're going to be.
Well, no, I mean, it does, but you know, of course, in spite of the fact that they missed the playoffs last year, the Maple Leafs were mentioned as being a high on his list.
I heard that too. That was definitely the word in New York yesterday about Boyle. And I walked with one very famous television personality back from the game last night who also shared that sentiment. And that's the other thing. The one rumor I did hear is that Paul Stastny might be getting very close to extending, in that Paul Stastny could be signed as early as July 1st. Of course, there's other talk that that Kane and Taves are going to be signed July 1st.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of a given for the most part. I'm glad to hear that because, like I said before, I heard that there were some issues with Kane previously, so maybe they've worked that out. Josh?
Yes, no, I don't have a rumor, but I just wanted to give kudos to you guys know I'm a card collector. I wanted to give kudos to Upper Deck. They made a rookie card of the video coach for the Washington Capitals, Brett Leinart, who sat on the bench I think 2 or 3 times now. That's pretty cool. Definitely a thrill for the kid who hasn't had any game action, but he's practiced with the team quite a bit, and obviously he's filled in when there's been injuries, but I think pretty classy of Upper Deck to do that.
That's awesome. That's very cool. They should do one for the kid, that guy in San Jose, who played that game too. When I played the warm-ups and everything. That was one of my favorite stories of last year. That was an incredible story. But no, that's good. It's good to see that. I like when companies aren't so hung up on everything that they can step back and see what's important. That's amazing. So that's really good. Stastny could be signed soon. That is going to be interesting as far as like we talked about before.
Oh, hit the bell.
What? Oh, that's not here. Ding, ding, ding. Sorry. Thank you. Yes,
You're
the
welcome.
interesting bell.
Not just a pretty face, guys.
Not just a pretty face. I appreciate that. All right. It's right over there. I just haven't unpacked it yet. I will be. There you go. The interesting bell. And the reason we do that, folks, I've got a lot of people. This 2 things I want to say. I've got a lot of people who ask me what the bell's about. It is about our own personal thing on the show to not to use the word interesting, which is used on every podcast and talk show too often. And as I've told everybody else, if it wasn't interesting, we wouldn't be talking about it. So it is interesting by nature. The other thing is I was recognized in New York for the podcast.
Wow.
Outside the arena yesterday. The first time I've ever been recognized as Eklund in public, because of course I didn't put my face out there very often. So I was out there, and outside, a really good-looking woman came up to me actually with her boyfriend and said, "My boyfriend." It was the funniest thing because he obviously said I'm not going to talk to him, and she said, "Oh, let's go talk to him." And so my boyfriend loves your show. I'm like, "Cool. How about you?" And she's like, "I've never seen it." I'm like, "Cool." So
especially like that guy from Buffalo.
Yeah, the first time. How about that? So yeah, I mean it's kind of funny, Oh yeah, and you were also mentioned last night, Mike, with Peter Bursch too, who also likes. I know you guys know each other too, so that was pretty cool.
Back from the old 640 days.
Yeah, he's like, Mike, you have Mike in Buffalo. It's awesome, and Peter loved the microphone. He loved the microphone too. So he's got a baby on the way too. So good luck, Peter.
Number 2.
Yeah, it's his second one. So it's due the same day as his other other one's turning 3. It's pretty funny.
Wow.
So, yep, good things there. So tomorrow, this is what's on tap for tomorrow, guys. This is a day and a half because I promised my kids I'd be back for this weekend to go to our first to our beach place. We got a beach place recently, and we're gonna go open it up. And my son was really upset last night, basically bawling when the Rangers won the game because I had to go to LA, and I said I wouldn't be able to get to the beach place until Sunday. So this is what I'm doing tomorrow. This is my dadly duty for the year. I am flying out of Philly early in the morning, so I'll be getting into LA 11 o'clock LA time, which is, it's to 2 here. So we're going to look at a show sometime around 4 or 5, the best we can do. We don't know, if one of you guys can't do it or whatever, we'll do the best we can. We don't want to do a show for sure. If there's a big layover for some reason at the normal 1 o'clock time, we might even do like a 10-minute quick hit type thing. Then, of course, the game starts 5 o'clock LA time, 8 o'clock Eastern. After the game, if there is a Stanley Cup celebration, I will be doing a Google Hangout from the ice. I'm really excited to do this. I actually told the people from Google that I'm doing this, and they're excited about it too. They might even promote it. It's going to be the first Google Hangout ever from the Stanley Cup ice, which is great. So we're going to do the Google Hangout, which will enable you guys to actually come in as well. And if you're interested in, watching that, I really want to give you guys a perspective of what it looks like to cover a Stanley Cup celebration on the ice. And I want to open up a chat room or somewhere where some way people can maybe tweet out to us and say, go ask this player a question. And I want to actually ask people questions from Twitter. I think that would be so cool that you could actually ask the guys questions on the ice after a Stanley Cup win. So that's all if it ends tomorrow night. Then after that, I'm collecting on my bet from Matt Barry that we talked about earlier, and he's taking me to dinner because I said that they would beat the Blackhawks. And then at 12:30, I'm taking the red eye home, and I'll be getting back at 9 a.m. into Philly, which is in exactly 26 hours of traveling, no hotel, no rest, no nothing, a day trip to LA for a game, and then back again.
Wow.
So, yep, and then to the shore, and I'll probably end up sleeping the entire weekend away, but I'll be there. So, and then Father's Day, of course, is Sunday. So, but I just really wanted to thank you guys for watching. Tomorrow, like I said, just kind of keep an eye out. There'll be something around the 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock Eastern time hour, somewhere in there. There might be something in the middle of the day. There might be something after the game. So we might end up doing 3 podcasts tomorrow. Who knows? But we'll see what happens. And then, and of course, we'll be back on Monday from New York, maybe. I don't know, or from here. We'll see where we are going to be. But I've gotten down the trip to New York pretty well. And anyway, so that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for telling your friends. And remember, without the buzz,
it's just hockey.
Thank you, Julie. We'll talk soon.